Welcome back to the Tea Books and Rainy Days podcast. Today I'm joined by Mallard Creek High School Media Coordinator, Mrs. Segura. Say hello.
Hey, how are you?
So do you prefer librarian or media coordinator, media specialist?
So my technical term is School Library Media Coordinator.
That's a lot.
That is a lot. So a lot of people say SLMC. I'm okay with a librarian.
Okay.
So librarian, school librarian, whatever works for me.
Cool. And today we're going to be talking about school libraries, how they function, how they work, how we get to attract more students into these libraries, because sometimes it's a little dead.
Yeah, they are, especially in a high school when kids kind of come in when they want and they're not forced to come in like in elementary school.
Yes. So my first question is, how long have you been a librarian?
So I have been a school librarian for 12 years. I've been at Mallard Creek for 6. And prior to that, I was at Hunter House High School. And then before that, I actually worked in the public library for 3 years as a circulation clerk there. So I've been in libraries since I graduated college.
Cool. So did you have to do any extra, I know some people have to get their master's now.
So in order to be a librarian, so the title librarian, so in a public library, you're talking about a reference librarian. In a school, you're talking about the librarian there. You have to have a master's degree in library science. So I went back 2 years after I got out of school and went back and got my master's in library science.
Cool. Let's see here. So what does your job here entail?
So here is kind of fun. So I teach research to really everybody. I help kids find books. I help teachers find books for their class. I help find different resources that teachers might need in their classroom. And then I kind of just offer support in everything that teachers are doing. If I can help them with technology, I'm going to help them that way. If I can help them find resources, I'm going to go that route.
That's really cool. Because I come in here with some of my classes. I'm an AP Lit. So we came in here a couple of weeks ago. And I do know, like, when you're in underclassmen, you come here more often. So I guess it's nice to have your class come like it was when we were in elementary school. I do miss having, like, media days where we would go to the library. But, I mean, because I really never knew, like, what a librarian would do other than just, like, help you find a book.
Right,
There's
and
so much.
a lot of people think that I just kind of sit here and I might read books, but I go into classes and teach. So if you've worked on a research paper, you've probably
You
seen
did
me.
help me my freshman, sophomore, and junior year.
Yep, so I do a lot of online research, but I also help kids find books that they just want to read for fun. And this year is really cool because a lot more of the English classes are bringing their class as a whole. So we're kind of getting back to our roots and making kids read, even though maybe they've kind of gotten away from it.
Yeah, that's really good. That's what I'm trying to do, like, with it, like, getting people back into wanting to read just for, like, recreation as well. There's so many benefits to just being very bookish and reading. And it's really hard to get people, like, I work at Imaginon, and it's really hard to get people to, like, go to the book side. They always want to go to, like, the technology side. I'm like, that's great, but, like, you can do something with books and the technology. So
Yeah, especially in the world we're in, technology is so prominent, but there's been so many just changes in the past couple of years. We've got so many more new ebooks, and so just kind
yes.
of pushing that boundary of technology and book and kind of meshing them together, maybe where we start, and hopefully we get back. I mean, there's some people, and I'm one of those, just I have to have a book in my hand. If I'm going to read a book, it's got to be a physical book. And we
Yes.
have a lot of kids here at Mallard Creek that when they read, it is a physical book and they don't want something else.
I think that's really good because also there's a lot of stigma around how you read. Because my mom, like, she hates, like, audiobooks, but she likes ebooks and she likes physical books. But I mean, there's studies that it shows, like, there's no difference in comprehension because everyone learns different, like audio or like visual. But I do like the abundance of physical books that we have, as well as the audiobooks that you guys provide here too. I think I've tried to listen to some of those, and I think they're really good.
Yeah, I think just having different mediums. So not even just what you're looking at or listening to, but not everybody is going to read a book,
Yeah.
right? So you could read a graphic novel, you could read the newspaper, you could read a magazine, you can read articles online, you can read a physical book. As long as you're reading, you're still getting those skills, and your platform doesn't matter.
Absolutely. So approximately, like, I say, like, on a daily basis, how many people do you see, like, here outside of, like, just classes being brought in here?
So it kind of depends. I see more kids in the morning if there's more projects due. So a lot of kids will come in the morning and print and finish up projects. This week I've had just more kids coming in to check out books because they're just kind of in here.
That's cool.
And then lunches, I always get a large group every lunch for kids that don't want to go to the cafeteria. This is kind of their safe space. Maybe they don't have friends during their lunch, or maybe they just don't want to deal with the noise and the smells of the cafeteria, so they're in here. And
yes, my entire freshman year, I never went to the cafeteria.
Yep, so just in here relaxing, and some read, some play games, some do schoolwork. So it's not the quiet library that people think it is. If you've come in during a lunch, you know that it's not quiet, and it's not going to be quiet, and I'm 100% okay with that.
I think that's great because it has become a really big safe space for a lot of kids who are a lot more timid or just have social anxiety. And like my freshman year, I met a group of kids here, and we related on books that we liked and like videos that we liked. So I think that, having a library that feels not only like a place where books belong, but where people belong is definitely important. I think you've made that a really cool space as well.
Well, awesome. I try and change it up every year and trying to get some new things in. So I've really kind of done more board games this year because people are coming in and using them. So I'm like, all right,
I've seen those.
Let's go down that route and see. And so people are going to come in and play games. Great. Maybe they'll pick up a book. Even better.
Yeah, maybe. They can see it on the way there.
Right. You never know what is going to catch their eye and maybe change their direction. So, come in for one thing and maybe you leave with a book. That's great, too.
That's cool. So I've seen your blind date with the book, and I think that's a really cool idea. I meant to come in here during, February and come get one. I've been so busy. But, what other things have you tried to implement into, our library to attract more people?
So I'm always kind of trying to think of what catches people's attention. So the blind date is kind of cool because you're getting a book that you don't know what's underneath. The display next to that, so I've got books that I've read. People ask me all the time for suggestions, so just kind of books I've read. Maybe they want to read something that I've looked at books that have been turned into movies. So everyone knows how great the movie is, but if you're an avid reader, you know that the book is usually better.
Yes.
So you can kind of go that route. And then I've also pulled some books that are being turned into movies. So go ahead and read it before it turns into a movie, cool. And then you can see. And then right now I'm just highlighting new books that have come in, and I have learned that if you just take a book and face it out in the library, there's a better chance that it's going to get picked up. So if I have classes coming in, I do kind of like a book tasting, and I'll take all the books and I'll lay them out on the tables so they're cover side up, and people will kind of come through, look at the cover. Sometimes they look and see what it's about. So we're not supposed to judge books by their covers, but we totally do.
Oh, I am very guilty. I'm like, that's a cool cover. What is it about? Because it does catch your eye, and unfortunately we're like, wow, that looks so interesting. Other than sometimes classics are just, bare, and that's the name, and I'm like, wow, I don't know what that's about. I also do sometimes I turn over books new editions, and they just have one-line reviews, and I'm like, I want to know what this is about.
Yep.
So I think those displays are really cool that you have all around here, and really catches your eye. When you come in, I immediately was drawn to this shelf and all the stuff that you have displayed, and the movies too, because a lot of people haven't heard of some of the movies and shows that are coming out, but I've known some of these movies, and I read Call of the Wild when I was in 6th grade. My dad read it and he was in high school. Right.
If you look at a lot of the movies coming out, they're based off of books.
They're all based off of books. They're all based off of plays that have already been a thing. So it's really just reading it and putting it on screen. That's very cool. I also want to know, how hard is it to get new books that are just published fresh off bestsellers?
So I get a book budget every year. So I get a lump sum of money in the fall, and it has to be submitted by the time we go out on Christmas break. So before January, I have to know which books I want in the library. And that budget that I get covers books. It would cover magazines if I were to get those. It covers kind of supplies that I'm getting. So I look at books in this library. What do our students need? So I ask for recommendations from students. If you've ever come in the library and signed in.
I always type in a book every time.
One of the questions is there a book that you think we should have here? So I kind of start there. I ask the teachers what they want, and then I look at what is new in fiction, because fiction is going to circulate the most in our library. That's just what it is. Nonfiction doesn't circulate because most of the time I can find that information online through a database that is more current than what may be in a book. So nonfiction I try and stay away from unless there's something very specific that we need to support classes. And I look at those new fiction books. So what has come out recently that we don't have, or what parts of a series do we not have? So it kind of limits me because I've only get the money one time during the school year.
And that's it.
Right. So I just got all our new books in for this school year. So I won't get new books until next year at this time. So we kind of miss some of those like books that are coming out and they're really popular. So I'm glad to have money because I've worked at a school where I didn't have money. But at the same time, it really kind of stinks that it's one time during the school year.
Yeah, that's it. Especially when things come out like now. This is kind of like a high season for like new books coming out. I always did wonder that because when I was in middle school, we had a giant library, but it was like, these are all the same books that we had 3 years ago. Why has nothing changed? And I didn't realize how like much it took also to push for like, we need these books, or we need more books. And I know that sometimes if things have been on the shelf for years, eventually they just like go away because they take up space.
Yeah, so a big part of my job is actually to weed the collection. So go in and look at circulation dates because you want your books to be current. Yes, we have books that are not recent. So, I mean, classics, they're not going to be changed anytime soon, and that's fine. But what can I do to kind of switch up the collection? So do we have 150 books sitting on our shelves that nobody is looking at? Well, is that really beneficial for us? Are we just making it look like a library that has lots of books? Or do I have books that have purpose? So I go through and take out those books that aren't circulating to make room for new books. So if I take out books, that gives me more shelf space to face out books, and then maybe more people are going to check those out. Yeah,
of course. I always wonder, do you find it kind of frustrating that like reading it from the outside looking in, it looks like it's declining?
I don't think it is.
I don't believe it is.
This school year, I have noticed just an increase of kids not with classes coming in to check out books. And I don't feel like I've really done a whole lot more with trying to like publicize the library. I've had some things put on Instagram for the school, so I know some kids come in that way. But I'm not out there like selling it to classes. Being like, you know what, like, read.
Yeah.
So I don't know if schedules are changing and people have more flexibility and they can come in, or maybe people are just kind of getting back to that. I used to read. Maybe I'll try it again.
Yeah, I definitely think I bounced back after like middle school, and I was like, oh, this is great, and I want to be a writer. So coming in and like seeing all these titles and reading and gaining that inspiration, and I just gain inspiration from seeing other people like being very interested in it. So I guess it must be very rewarding now, like to see people coming to the very thing that you do.
Yeah, like I love when kids come in and they'll return a book and they're like, that book was great, or what else do you have like this? Because to me, that way I knew they read it. Like, some kids, yes, they're forced to check out books and they don't really read them, and that's just how it is. But the kids that come back and tell me very excitedly, or kids that have said before, like, oh, I've never been in the library, I'm never going to read a book, and then they come in and they check out a book and they read, that's a cool part of my day.
Yeah, I think that's great. I also want to know how closely our school in the Charlotte-Mecklenburg area works with Charlotte-Mecklenburg libraries, because I know we have like over 20 locations and we do stuff through one access. So how closely are we working?
So CMS and the Charlotte Public Library have a huge, amazing working partnership. So One Access kind of kicked it off, and the public library contacts me every month and they give me a calendar of all of their events that are happening there. So I share that with our kids. They're more than willing to come in and support anything I'm doing. They will help teachers if they need support. So they are 100% all into our schools, which is amazing. They've made national news, which is really cool. I've had people contact me and be like, well, I didn't know how cool your library system was until now. So it's just awesome that we have so many amazing resources to help support, because yes, I get a book budget, but that's not enough.
Yeah.
Public libraries have more flexibility with when they order books, so they're getting newer books in, and they may have different things than I have here. So to have a student or even a teacher go to the public library and be able to get the resources that I don't have here, is a great way for them to get free resources. We're not spending money, we're getting things, and that's great.
I think that is great. I've had people come up to me when I'm in Imagine and be like, "Oh, I'm from High Point, or I'm from like Wilmington." I'm like, "You came all the way here for this library?" Like, well, no, but I saw it and it was great. So I think that is great, and for spending money like on education, I'd rather it be like all entangled, and that support is really important in schools too, because you guys provide so much resource. I didn't know how much resources were provided in the media center. I thought it was just books. And then, like, I came in for my research project, and I was like, this is, like, really helpful.
We would not be able to do research in this school if we didn't have those resources from the public library. I push so many of those resources because they're amazing and they're free.
They are all free. It's really great. And then, like, when you go to, like, a certain library, like Maine, downtown, like, everything that's there, you literally can check out a podcast kit with microphones and, like, full things that you need. Check out cameras. You can check out almost
you can check out everything. You can check out book club kits.
Yeah.
So if we had kids here that wanted to start a book club, we can go through the public library and get the kit, and then that way kids don't have to purchase the books.
Yeah.
We can get them all for free, which is great.
I think that's really cool. Do you miss book fairs?
So I've only ever worked in high schools, so I have never experienced a book fair.
Did you have them when you were in school?
I did have them when I was in school, and I think they're great.
I miss them.
I would love to do them in high school, but their selection for students isn't as great as it is for elementary kids. So it's a lot of work.
It would have to be a different publisher than Scholastic, probably.
Right. So Follett is another company that does book fairs, and they have started branching out in our area. It's not necessarily geared toward high school though, because it's not a big market.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to put all of the time into hosting a book fair, and then only make $50.
Yeah, I feel like that is like as well, because I always wonder like, why don't we go into high school? And it's like, you guess they're so busy, and some people don't have like a whole day. Some people leave, and it's just not something that you think about in high school setting.
Yeah, the high school schedule is just so different from middle school and elementary school.
Yeah.
There's AP classes now, and
Yes.
there's a lot more rigor. So pleasure reading kind of gets pushed on the back burner for a lot of students,
Yes.
and they may pick it up during the summer, but
then there's summer assignment reading too.
right, like there's always going to be something. So the people that want to read are gonna read, but a book fair in a high school, I don't think is gonna capture everybody's attention.
I agree. Well, thank you, Ms. Segura, so much
Oh,
for
you're welcome.
this opportunity. Before I go, do you mind telling my audience what you're reading right now, if you're reading anything right now?
So I just finished, and I literally finished it this morning. It is the second audiobook that I've listened to, because I don't have a whole lot of time to read in the evenings because I have two small children. So I have started listening to audiobooks, and I just finished The Obituary Writer, which is a historical fiction, and I am all into the book. It did not end how I thought it was going to end, and I loved it. I wish there was a sequel.
Maybe there'll be one.
There might be, but I doubt it.
Doubt it. Well, thank you so much for this experience, for this opportunity. And I'm leaving after this year, unfortunately, but I hope that this library is as prosperous as it's been for the last
Thank you, and I hope that you
13
stay
years.
in touch, because
yeah.
the support that you give the library here, I know that you give it also in the community.
I'll be back.
So I know that even though you're leaving Miller Creek, you won't be gone forever.
No, I'm trying to do a work study at UNCG's library, so hopefully
Awesome.
there's 9 floors. They have to let me in.
Right?
Yeah. So thank you, and subscribe if you want to hear more. Bye.